VR. I don't really know how to open this. I have had several VR headsets over the years. This is like the fifth one I've tried, or I guess the fifth time I've tried it probably. I initially got the PSVR headset when it initially launched, and like I just remember it was like lunchtime, maybe my off block or something, and I went straight to GameStop, bought it, put it in the back of my car. I think it was in my trunk, and it just sat there until the end of the school day. And I think all of my friends came over. We played like the entire demo disc. I bought Job Simulator, which was actually pretty fun. We did the trial for one of the scary games. I think it was called Thumper. And I'll just put this clip of my friends scaring each other.
Already. It's all grimy.
It was a good time, but it's really kind of just like a party trick. Like, it's cool to show off to people, like, look what you can do. You can go into this world and it actually feels like you're there because you're completely cutting off half of your senses. And like the PSVR, to its credit, was very good at the time. It wasn't the first VR headset, it definitely wasn't the last, and it was comfortable, mainly because all of the tech wasn't in the headset. It was run off of the PlayStation, so it was pretty light. It was a bit bulky, I will say, but that was like, oh gosh, it's been what, 6 years since then? 6 or 7 years? I ended up selling that because I just kind of ran into this problem of, okay, I bought it early, and besides like Job Simulator, there wasn't anything I was really interested in. Like with the Wii, that was a huge thing that kind of really walked so these guys could run with motion controls, even though it probably wasn't the first thing to use motion controls. It was definitely the thing that popularized it. Wii, you had Wii Sports. You had 5 sports in one game packed in. So you had something to play that was fun, easy to understand right off the bat. It made tons of sense. With this, you can browse the web. On the Quest 3 specifically, there are like free things, the VR worlds. There are plenty of demos, but there isn't like a go-to software that they're like trying to sell you on like they did with Wii Sports on the Wii. I ended up buying another PSVR later down the line from a friend who was moving and just wanted it gone. And I really bought it as a way to resell it because I knew I could make more money and they just wanted it gone quick. And I ended up selling that too, not very long after, but it gave me a chance to revisit it. And I was just like, yeah, it still kind of feels the same. There's not really any games that I want to play. I think at that time, the other Job Simulator game had come out. I think it's Vacation Simulator, but it's like, I don't know. I played all of Job Simulator. I think I got the platinum trophy in it. So it's like, what else could I do besides stand there and make hot dogs? I don't know. Do it on a beach. So after that, I ended up becoming friends with the local game store owner here. And he was trying to downsize. I was trying to help him with getting rid of a bunch of crap that he had, which one of them was a Quest 2 and then another VR headset that was PC related. And of course, when I was helping him sell those, I took them home and tried them. You know, I had to make sure they worked. And I definitely like the Quest 2 more. I know this is a Quest 3, I'm getting there, but the all-in-one form factor was just so nice. Not having wires tethered to you, not having it be super bulky, not having to set up any cameras around you. This was optimal, but it still lacked any real games I wanted to play. I did the super hot demo, and that was honestly tons of fun, but it's like a 2-hour game. So it's like, okay, what else is there? But even still at that point, I think it was like maybe 2021. There wasn't like anything I really wanted to play other than super hot. And I didn't want to spend, what, 25, $30 on a game that would last me a couple hours. So I helped him sell those. I think the PC related one he still has because we just couldn't find a seller for it. But I sold the Quest 2, no problem. And then that brings us to here. I have the Amazon credit card and I spend a lot of money on the business with that card. So I've been racking up Amazon credit. And while I didn't have the full $500 for this basic Quest 3 headset, and it was recently my birthday, so I just went for it. All the Apple Vision Pro hype got to me. And while I would still like to try the Apple Vision Pro, this is much cheaper. 7 times cheaper, actually. So I got this, and even still, this is a lot of money. This is $500. There you go. There's the $500. It did come with batteries, which at first I was like, really? We're still rocking double A's for these? These aren't rechargeable, but these have not needed to be replaced. And I've been trying to use this as much as I can, like maybe an hour a day ish when I can, but I've been really busy. So, I kind of just made this whole second channel in all of February. And so far with this, I have really enjoyed it. I think that VR and especially AR has stepped up the game since the last time I tried a VR headset. And I actually bought some games as well as did some free experiences. I did some VR emulation. If you haven't seen my Virtual Boy video, go watch that. If it's not out yet, I'm gonna awkwardly transition into my next talking point. The VR stuff is actually cool. Like, I finally bought Super Hot and I played it in its entirety in an hour. I'm not joking. I played the entire game of Super Hot VR in 1 hour. And this is not a dig at the developers of Super Hot. It's really hard to develop for VR, I can imagine. You're not just developing for a rectangle, you're developing for 360 degrees of view. There's a lot going on. It would take a lot for me to develop a Game Boy game, let alone a VR game. So I'm not gonna make fun of them or really blame them for anything. But that is one of my main gripes with VR in general. VR, AR, whatever you want to call it, is the games are just too short and there's not that many of them. Like I said, it's hard to develop for this stuff. But when I spend $25, $30 on a video game and it barely lasts me any time, it kind of feels like I'm getting ripped off. Because like Super Hot is fun, and I do think it's kind of replayable. There's a speedrun mode, there's harder modes, but I usually don't care about that. If I've played through a game once, personally, I'm kind of just done with the game unless I really, really love it. And I do really love Super Hot, but I'm not going to play it again for another couple years probably. And this was a $500 purchase. So I spent $525 for a 1 hour experience. And like everything you try is cool to try for like 30 minutes, an hour. Like doing the roller coaster simulator, doing the Virtual Boy stuff. Things like golf and ping pong are cool. Like it feels realistic. Especially with AR, it's so realistic that why wouldn't I just go play them in real life? Like, okay, ping pong, I don't know of any places like off the top of my head near me that I could go play ping pong. But there's a golf course in town. There's multiple golf courses in town that I could go play at. I could drive a couple hours to Top Golf, and that would be a lot of fun too. That's what I did for my birthday. And so it's like, I don't know. Those sports are like, it doesn't make sense in my mind. But something like NFL Pro Era, that's completely different. That game was a ton of fun. It's pretty realistic. Obviously, it's as realistic as playing in the NFL as it can be. But trying to throw a football and it feels somewhat real, and you're looking around and like, oh crap, I just got sacked. As a football fan and NFL guy, I loved that game. But it's the same thing with Madden for me, which Madden I can play a lot more, mostly because I don't need to be tied to this thing, and I'm going to get tired throwing the ball every time if I'm playing this for multiple hours a day. I was actually sore in my shoulders after playing NFL Pro Era for like an hour. The next day I was sore. Not immediately. I am also not in shape. Look at me, I'm just a pair of hands. But it was fun for that amount of time. And I feel like eventually I would just get tired of doing the same thing. You can't run the ball. You could hold on to the ball as a quarterback and run the ball to the end zone. I actually did that a couple times. It was pretty fun. It was just funny in general, especially because you're like, I think that's where I mostly got sore, because I was like that, and you could just make strides and do the same thing. But you're just the quarterback. You're not playing defense. And I get that. Like at a certain point, you're just using the sticks. But it would be more fun if it was full Madden. I know it's not the same developers. If it was the Madden developers, it would not run well at all. They barely get the Madden games to run well now on a console. But those were my two fun experiences, were Super Hot and NFL Pro Era. And it's like, does that really justify a $500 purchase? For me, no. I'm not trying to make anybody feel bad for liking VR. I like VR. It's just that developers aren't making the VR games that I want to play, or they're not just long enough experiences yet. The realism is kind of there. I feel like it's also like the N64 GameCube era. We're still like trying to figure out the visuals and stuff. We're nearly there, but it's not like refined like the 360 and the PS4 generation were. It's getting there. It's almost there. And I do think the VR is the future. It's just like, I don't know, man. It's a lot of money for not a lot of experience. A lot of people talk about like, oh, watching movies on here and emulation. It's like, I would rather just do it on my TV or on my phone or on a handheld or literally any other screen than this. It's cool, but it's a gimmick. It's not as high quality as the screens that you probably already have. But again, $500 for two games that I like and Virtual Boy emulation just doesn't make sense financially or really at all to me. So it's just like, yeah, it's good. How many times can I say that it's good and I like it, but it's just not there? I would love to try the Apple Vision Pro if it wasn't $3,500. That's another thing. Oh yeah, I was about to close out the video, but that's the last thing I think I want to talk about is the pass-through. I wanted to get this specifically. Initially, I was looking at the Quest 2 for a while. The Quest 3 came out. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. And I saw the AR stuff. The piano simulator was so cool. And then I read the reviews and they're like, yeah, it's really only good if you actually have a keyboard and you plug it in through a MIDI to USB-C cable. And it's like, okay, well, I don't want to buy a keyboard and this app to learn piano. I thought I could at least try it out and start in AR with my fingies. But then the reviews say it's not good. And I have a feeling it's because of lighting and the pass-through, which is what I want to talk about, the pass-through. This is awful. It looks fine. It looks good when you're watching other people's footage and you're not really thinking about it. Like I watched Austin Evans doing the dishes. It looked good. It looked clean. It looked crisp. Not like super high resolution, but I felt like I could have placed myself in his house. And I can feel that when I watch other people's stuff. But then when you're in your own home and you're so used to the layout of everything, and then you just see blurry stuff everywhere. My phone is incredibly blown out. It's warped. I can't read anything without taking off the headset. If you don't have like studio lighting like I have, the pass-through is not going to be the best experience, and hand tracking is not going to work. It's good, but you have to have like optimal lighting. It's a $500 headset. So I know like there's a lot of tech in here that makes it worth it, but I don't know. I'm not quite sold on the VR of today, but I'm very excited for the future of VR. And that being said, I am going to return this. I bought it on Amazon because I felt like I was going to have buyer's remorse when I bought it. It's expensive. I'm thinking about getting a Quest 2, maybe used. Maybe I buy a broken one and I fix it for a video, and then that could justify me having it. But I think $200 would really be my max to spend on it. And seeing that the AR pass-through stuff is not as cool as I was hoping it would be, I think I would be fine with the Quest 2 for now. Games are the reason why you buy a console. There aren't really many games I want to play on here. I don't know why I bought this. Hype. I bought into the hype.